Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Now celebrating 17 years of broadcasting success, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, both for our radio audience here in Mississippi, WYAD 94.1 FM, and WYADonline.com. We're glad that you all could be with us. Also, those joining us are online affiliates around the world, including our friends at iHeartRadio and Amazon Music Podcasts. Glad you all could join us as well. We're excited to welcome recording artist Eric Ethridge to our program today to talk to him not only about his own love of music, but what it's been like for him to share that love with all of you. In spite of everything that was going on in 2020, Eric had a really good year. We'll talk to him about that, the success of singles like Dream Girl, but also what he's looking forward to this year when it comes to new music and meeting with his fans. Eric, hello to you and welcome to the program.
Hey, Cyrus. Thank you so much for having me on, buddy.
Hey, glad to do it. So let's start off by talking about 2020. As I said, it's a year I don't think any of us will forget, Eric, but there were a lot of high notes there as well, including for yourself. You kind of began 2021 kind of reflecting on 2020 for you, especially the singles that I mentioned, Dream Girl, being chosen by Apple as one of the 100 best songs of 2020. What was it like for you to see the way that people, in spite of everything, that they were drawn to the music?
Well, yeah, that was a huge surprise and a huge honor. The folks at Apple Music have been so supportive of my music, and I've just been really grateful for that. It was a weird year. 2020 was a very weird year for musicians, as I'm sure you know, and there was a kind of a debate. Do we wait to put out music, or do we put out music? And I decided that, it had been about just over a year since my first record came out. I'd spent all of 2019 working on a record, so I wanted to put out, I was like, you know what, I want to put out music. And so that's what we did. Dream Girl was one of the first songs off that record, and had a lot of success with that one. So it was really great to see, even though the world was kind of all over the place, that fans still wanted to listen to music, still, were engaging with music, and that really made 2020 a better year for me, for sure. So I appreciate anyone who listened and anyone who shared it.
Yeah. Well, I think, this is, I think, one of the great things for us to realize about what's possible, Eric, and it goes to another thing about yourself, which is not only the consistency, but also putting in the hard work. Not only did you celebrate that success with Dream Girl, but also, as you even share with us on Instagram, having 2 gold records. Do you think that work ethic is one of the reasons why you've gotten to be where you are today?
You know what? I'd like to thank you, first of all, and I'd like to think so. I come from a different background. Where I come from, I went to college, and I played football in college, where I really think I learned my work ethic. But then even more so when I went on to become a chiropractor. That was 100-hour weeks in the library for 4 years, basically. And so I think I had a kind of an interesting perspective when I transitioned to music full time. Where, I think I personally believe that consistency and hard work and just doing what you say you're going to do for people really goes a long way when it comes to having a music career. There's a lot of things in the music industry that you can't control, but there's also, I think it's most important just to focus on what you can control.
I think that is such a great thing. So what was it about music that spoke to you, Eric, that made you say that was the direction you wanted to go in?
Well, I think it's one of those things where it was definitely a passion of mine. Well, it had been since I knew I could start singing. But just my influences around me always said, it's not a safe path. It's not a real job, so to speak. And so that was kind of ingrained in me from a young age, but something inside of me just said, you need to chase this, and one thing led to another, and I finally released my first record, which you had mentioned just went, two of those songs just went gold, which is really, really cool. But yeah, it was one of those things where it's just following your passion, and to me, being successful is really about being able to do what you love, do what you're passionate about, and help others at the same time. And whether that's through, it could be whatever, but in my case, I wanted to help people through music. I wanted to be able to connect with people through music and maybe help them give words to something that they're feeling or that they can't describe themselves, or maybe it's even just to bring them out of a dark time and uplift their spirit, whatever it is that they may need in that moment. So to me, that's what I'm passionate about. I love connecting with fans, and I love performing live, and there's really just nothing else I'd rather do.
Well, I think that is one of the things that your fans appreciate about you is your passion for it, but also I think the way you've been able to connect. I noticed, and I was fascinated by the fact, Eric, that not only have you shared your musical journey, but also your life challenges as well. Being vulnerable that way is not always the easiest thing. Was that something, though, that was an easy decision for you to make, that even when you were going through challenges, even dealing with health issues, that was something you wanted to share with your audience?
That's definitely a good point. Like it's something that's really tough to share, because I think there's this perception out there that, for musicians, what you don't see a lot of online is the negativity behind what's been going on with music. Like if you look at your favorite artists' social media, usually it's all smiles and happy things and happy news, but the reality behind the scenes is I don't know if there's an artist out there that didn't have an extremely tough year in 2020, where the primary ways in which they make their living was completely decimated, and so it's one of those things people don't come to us to hear the negative side. But I heard a really interesting quote recently, and it was your people who follow you, it's hard for them to relate to your successes or the perfection, but they can definitely relate to your challenges. And so that's kind of what really helped me, I guess, start to want to talk about the challenges, I guess, that I was going through last year and this year. Yeah.
Well, to that point, and then we'll move on, Eric, I think what was so fascinating to me about that post was how many people said, yeah, I've dealt with this too, or I understand. Mm-hmm. What was that like for you to know that by sharing, you gave other people permission to also acknowledge their own challenges?
Yeah, no, I think that was, I couldn't have expected a better response in that front. And that's kind of why I wanted to do it. I think I've personally felt that I honestly, I think I wasn't sharing enough with people out there. Like I think I wasn't really telling the whole story about what's really going on. Like we try to share I try to share the positive things most of the time, but to know that other people are kind of feeling the same thing, it kind of brings a sense of understanding, like mutual understanding, and the people that my supporters have been awesome, honestly, on that front. So I'm very grateful for that. But so no, it was a good feeling to be able to, I guess, relay that to people and get that feedback.
For sure. I want to say, for those who are just tuning in on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. We're excited to welcome recording artist Eric Ethridge to our program today. We're talking to Eric not only about his love of music, but also the success he's been able to have in music, with his music definitely resonating with fans, been recognized as well. And we're going to let you guys know how to stay connected with Eric and what's coming up this year. So you alluded to it, Eric, so let's dive into getting through 2020. As you mentioned, one of the things that we did not have were the live events that we are used to. I think hopefully moving forward it will be nice to have a hybrid. I think a lot of us like these sofa conversations and concerts we've been able to enjoy. So it may be great for us to be able to have a hybrid. But talk to us about the live experience for you, because I'm not an artist myself, so I'm just going by what I've heard, that the studio experience is definitely different than being out on stage. What is that like for you to be up on stage and to feel that energy in a room with your audience?
It is. It's hard to describe, really. It's the thing that I love most about music. There's all kinds of things that we do, whether it's recording or just a lot of planning on the business side or songwriting, but performing live is definitely my favorite part. It is the most exhilarating part of it. It's also the most terrifying part of it. But stepping out on the stage with, like, you put so much preparation into something, and stepping out on a stage in front of thousands of people, knowing that you can't make any wrong steps is quite the experience. But at the same time, like, one of the things that I love so much about it, and my favorite part, is when you can see that the crowd is interacting and resonating back with you, and that is like one of the best feelings I've ever experienced in my life. And so that's, I guess you could say, that's what I live for, and that's what I love to do. So I'm looking forward to when we can get back to those days and get thousands of people in a close area and do that again. So that's what keeps me going right now.
Right. So to that point then, Eric, how have you dealt with that? Because I've heard some artists even say the stage is part of their therapy. So how have you dealt with it in this past year of not having that, and to be able to find other ways to stay connected with your fans and those who love your music?
Yeah, well, to be honest, it was really tough, but we found a way to get around it a little bit last year, and that was through my wife and I. We actually sold pretty much all our things. We bought a van, and we turned it into a camper. So we had like a little tiny home on the inside, and then we put a stage on the roof. So throughout 2020, we traveled across the country, pulling up to people's houses, performing from the roof of our van. So it was quite the experience. But I remember, because it still had been about 8 months, but I remember the first show that I had played with my wife, and I almost started tearing up, and it was for maybe 20, 30 people spaced out on a lawn kind of thing. But it was I was getting emotional because I was like, it's something that I love so much, and to be able to do it again, even for just a couple dozen people was an awesome opportunity, and it was really good for my mental health to be able to do that again. So that was sort of our way around it, and then throughout the winter months, it's just been, trying to do stuff online, and we're actually working on a bunch of virtual concerts right now as well. We have a baby on the way, so living in a van doesn't really work with that lifestyle.
Right.
So that's where we're at now. But I think we've turned a corner here with the pandemic. So it's seeing tours come back online and stuff is really, really encouraging.
Yeah, for sure. Ian, congratulations to you. I did see that on Instagram about the new addition to the family. So last thing I want to talk to you about, Eric, and that is about moving forward. I mean, as you said, I personally, in hosting this program, we, of course, stayed on the air during the pandemic, and it was great to be able to speak with artists like yourself and authors and other creatives who are finding ways to continue to share and to give us all some sense of normalcy. Last thing I wanted to ask you about was about that for you. I asked you about what that experience was like for you, but what was it like for you to hear from your audience as how much they appreciated your being there and your staying connected with them during that time?
That I think was also a huge part of what kept me going and what kept me sane over this pandemic. We even just posting like some virtual concerts online and seeing people comment it's been so good to see this, we can't wait to see you live again. Just things like that sort of, when your whole industry crashes essentially, you definitely wonder as an artist, is this going to be viable in 2 years? You put so much money and time into this, and for the rug to be pulled out from under you, it's a really scary situation to be in, and so to have that support from fans has really been encouraging and really I guess show me that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's I can only imagine when we get back to a full concert what that's going to feel like. I know I'm not going to take that for granted at all. So,
right. Yeah, and I know we will continue to appreciate that. So, speaking of the music, I have to ask you, what are you looking forward to now? It's hard to believe we're almost halfway through 2021. What are you looking forward to as we're heading into the month of May, Eric?
Yeah, well, we have the current single out right now. It's called Sad Songs, which we just released, and we just released a really cool music video for it. So I'm just looking forward to seeing the response to that song, which I thought was really timely with the pandemic. 2020 was a rough year for a lot of people, and that song, I resonated with that song because it was about getting through tough times and creating a new life for yourself. So that's one thing I'm really excited about right now, and I'm also looking forward to creating some even more music. So that's kind of what's on my radar right now.
Right. So definitely you guys head over to your favorite online retailer. Of course, our partner here is Amazon.com, but you can get it through all your favorite online retailers, the single Sad Songs you heard Eric mentioned there from the Good With Me project. And Eric, let our audience know, how can they stay connected with you, man, and keep up with what's coming up next?
Absolutely. Well, you feel free to follow me on social media at Eric Ethridge Music or www.ericethridge.com, and you can throw my name into Google and you'll see all that stuff come up there. And that's where we keep everybody updated on what's going on. We got a lot of exciting things coming up here and over the summer, and I'm sure a lot of it soon will be filled with baby pictures. But so I apologize in advance to anybody.
Hey, look, I'm sure they will. Yeah, I'm sure they will enjoy it, Eric. Eric, congratulations to you. Really enjoyed the chat with you, man. Congratulations again on the family, as well as being able to continue to do what you love when it comes to music. And looking forward to having you back on the program again, man.
Thank you so much, Cyrus, for having me, and enjoy the rest of your day.
You as well. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Now let's go make today amazing. Take care.